35%. Did someone just move the camera?
I moved the camera
No.
over here. I put a camera.
There's a camera in there now.
There's a second camera. So where's the other camera, Rob? We're getting flaking lights, guys. Bail, it's in honey.
Bail.
I saw it. Oh! Oh no. The door's locked. It's on me.
Scott, you okay?
Scott's down.
Scott has died.
It's that time of year again where everyone's entitled to 1, 2, or a few dozen good scares. And it's also during this time that new scary games are also released. Needless to say, Phasmophobia is the game in question today. Phasmophobia is a 4-player first-person co-op survival horror game, developed and published by Kinetic Games. It was released on Steam in early access for $13.99 for Microsoft Windows. This is going to be a comprehensive review of the game in its current state. First, let's go over visuals, and in this department, Phasmophobia is a bit of a mixed bag. Built in the Unity engine, Phasmophobia doesn't look too bad for an indie title. The texture work in some of the environments can look rather sharp. You'll probably appreciate the most when viewing the photos that you took during the mission in the lobby after the match is over. There is also some nice dynamic lighting that also helps aids in the game's visuals. And it does help a lot considering that Phasmophobia can look pretty plain at times, and I can't quite tell if it has something to do with the art style of the game or if it has to deal with the design of the environments themselves. One example of this is the level that takes place in the abandoned asylum. As soon as you enter the environment and go down one of its many hallways, the hallways are pretty bare and plain, and that there's not really anything in the environment themselves that really differentiate it from different parts of the map. The other thing to note visually are the character models, and while there are a nice selection to choose from, they all look a bit plain themselves as well. While the models from afar look alright, the closer you get and notice the lack of detail, it starts to become a little bit uncanny. I mean, just look at a couple of these animations and you'll know what I'm talking about. Though I will say, the walking backwards while looking all the way up is freaking hilarious. Okay, can you go back the other way now, please? In general, the game just seems to lack polish, which for an early access title released by a small team, you shouldn't be really expecting AAA quality anyway. What's in here for right now works well enough and you're able to identify things that are important and disregard things that are not. But one thing that they did nail is the sound design.
To figure out if you hear noises and where it's at. Oh fuck.
Are we?
Right at the fucking door.
Oh my god, listen to that. Oh no. I volunteer to go in the van. From the low roar made when you enter the building you are investigating, to the footstep sounds your team and the ghost make, to the filter used on global communication, the sound design creates a deafening atmosphere of hopelessness and dread. It is often that an audio cue is going to scare you more than the visuals in the game. Yeah, I know that the ghosts can appear in your vision and pop out of nowhere, but when you're looking around and you're investigating a room and all of a sudden a ghost hiss in your ear, yeah man, you're gonna jump out of your seat. I'm playing in VR. Alright, so let's move over to the gameplay portion now. Your main objective is to discover what kind of ghost you're hunting. You achieve this by going into the house or whatever building you're investigating and looking for clues that the ghost leaves for you. Some of these include the ghost leaving fingerprints for you on doors or light switches that it's interacted with, writing in a book that you bring with you and leave in the room that it's haunting, or talking into a special walkie-talkie known as a ghost box. For each clue that you find, you want to mark it down in your journal as evidence. For each evidence that you mark down, it narrows the results of what kind of ghost you're dealing with. And you're really going to want to narrow down these ghost types, as there are 12 different ones in the game currently. Each ghost behaves differently of how it interacts with the player, and each one also has its own strengths and weaknesses. Some of these include being more susceptible to the smudge sticks that the players use, or being weaker when the lights are still on. In addition to discovering what kind of ghosts you're hunting, you have the option to do a couple of side objectives for extra money. These vary from easier things to do like witnessing a ghost event to more difficult ones like preventing a ghost from hunting by using a crucifix. Anyway, once you discover what type of ghost you're hunting and do as many of the side objectives as you want, you pack up the van and head back to the lobby. It is here where you get to see if you are right about what type of ghost you're hunting and how much money you've earned from doing that and the side objectives. It is here that you can buy and add new equipment for your next mission. There is a bit of a progression path in the game as well. You begin the game at level 1 as a rookie ghost hunter, and as you play the game more and complete more missions, you'll earn experience and level up your character. Certain items are blocked from you until you're a high enough level to be able to purchase them. And some of these items are incredibly helpful, such as the parabolic dish, which allows you to hear sound through walls that the ghost makes, allowing you to discover the room that the ghost is haunting a lot faster. And sometimes some of the side objectives require these items that you have to add and buy yourself, so you're going to want to bring one of each for each mission. Though you want to be careful because if you do die during the mission, you lose all the items that you brought with you. Besides unlocking new items, obtaining a higher level allows you to unlock new maps to play on and also to play harder difficulties of existing maps you've already played. The changes made in the harder difficulties include how quickly your sanity drains, how much time you have before the ghost can start attacking you, and how aggressive the ghosts are. Combining this with some of the larger maps in the game can be quite challenging at times. Currently there are 7 maps in total, with more being planned to be added later down the line. Of the 7 maps in the game, by far, Asylum is the most difficult, which isn't really surprising considering it's the largest map in the game. I highly recommend playing with other players on Asylum as it makes finding the room a lot easier when you have 3 other players searching for it. Speaking of which, playing with other players online or with your friends is basically a requirement. While you can play the game solo, it's not nearly as fun. I know that playing any game with your friends is almost inherently better in almost all cases, but it's really true in this case as it's a lot more challenging for you by yourself. A lot of the game's main features become utterly useless to you, such as global and local communication. Phasmophobia was built on teamwork, and when the team isn't there, all the work is put on you, and the game feels less of a game and more like a bunch of chores that you have to do. So make sure you have some friends to play this with, or you can find some people online. Speaking of which, in the handful of online games that I did play by myself, I found the connection to be mostly pretty good. Though occasionally, I did lose connection to 1 or 2 games, sometimes in the middle of the match. Oh. The last feature to talk about Phasmophobia is the VR support. The game can be played entirely in VR whether you're by yourself, with your friends, or playing with people online. If you are able to play in VR, I'd recommend that you do, but playing in VR does amplify all aspects of the game, both good and bad. The scares are scarier, the atmosphere is more atmospheric, and the problems are also more problematic. Again, like the keyboard and mouse counterpart, the controls work fine for what they are, but they're not super refined. For example, I play on the Valve Index and I use the Knuckles controllers. In the options menu where you can view the controller binds for the VR controllers, they only show the Vive ones and none of the other controllers. You may have to rebind some of the controls using the Steam VR controller binding settings. Not a huge deal on its own, but for some people, it might be a little bit too much to ask of them. Overall, Phasmophobia is an enjoyable game to play with your friends or with people online. And for only $14, it's hard to argue that it's not even least worth trying. You know the saying that pain is funny when it happens to somebody else is really true when it comes to Phasmophobia, as watching some of your friends get scared is some of the funniest moments you'll have in quite some time. If nothing else, I'm sure there are going to be dozens of videos posted by popular YouTubers and streamers playing this game all throughout the month of October. Only time will tell if the new features that are planned to be added after the Halloween season ends will people still be playing this game. So go ahead, give it a buy, and make sure you bring a spare pair of pants. Oh no!
You know, maybe if you guys...
Oh no! Oh god.
Oh, almond hands!
Oh god, it's right there! Open the door!